R.C. Brown II.
Today marks 24 years since the horrific terror attacks on 9/11. That was 2001. Nearly 3,000 people died on that day. And now on this day, commemorating the anniversary of the attacks, our nation pauses to honor the lives lost. On a day filled with tragedy and heroism forever changing our nation. Stephanie Gosk now joins us from the 9/11 Memorial in Lower Manhattan, where many of today's tributes will be held.
The 24th anniversary of 9/11. Nearly a quarter century has passed since 19 terrorists hijacked 4 passenger planes, crashing them into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Thousands were killed, while those who lived through it have these images forever seared in their minds. One day that rocked the country and the world, leaving a legacy still felt decades later, especially at the headquarters of the New York City Fire Department. 343 FDNY firefighters died on 9/11, but those who worked at Ground Zero are still dying from illnesses linked to the air they breathed in the weeks that followed. 39 new names were added to the department's World Trade Center Memorial Wall this year.
Today really means a lot to our families.
And there are still efforts underway to positively ID the remains of 40% of the victims. 3 new identifications were made as recently as this summer. President Trump is honoring the day at the Pentagon and then flying to New York City tonight for the Yankees game.
Is the anniversary still hard?
Yeah. Sometimes you can turn it off like a switch and just get through it, and others are harder.
Amy Gardner was 9 years old, her brother just 6, when their father Tom, a firefighter, was killed at the World Trade Towers. Their art, part of an installation in the 9/11 Museum showcasing work done by children called Drawing Meaning.
We're doing art as a way of just expressing ourselves.
The drawings and paintings both capture the pain and fear, as well as hope. As a child, Amy wrote, "I am trying to make my mommy feel better. I know someday she will feel better."
I know that we knew at a young age how hard this was for our mom to get through as well, and we just wanted her to be okay too.
Hi buddy, I will be telling you the exact timeline of 9/11. So at 5:45 a.m., I don't know the names, but 2 of the intended hijackers passed through the security at Portland Jetport in Maine. They boarded I know it wasn't Maine or something. They boarded a commuter flight to Boston, Logan, and Nevada Airport. Though then board American Airlines Flight 11. At 7:59 a.m., Flight 11 takes off from Boston heading for Los Angeles, California. There are 76 passengers, 11 crew members, and 5 hijackers on board. United Airlines Flight 175 at 8:15 a.m. 8:15 a.m. United Airlines Flight 175 takes off from Boston, also heading for Los Angeles. There are 51 passengers, 9 crew members, and 5 hijackers on board. Eight 19 a.m. A flight attendant on Flight 11, Betty Ann Oak, alerts ground personnel that a hijack is underway in the cockpit. The cockpit is unreachable. At 8:12 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 takes off from Dallas outside of Washington, D.C., heading for Los Angeles. There are 53 passengers, 6 crew members, and 5 hijackers on board. At 8:24, a hijacker it says the name, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so a hijacker on Flight 11, he didn't know, because I don't know how to pronounce the didn't know, alerts air control in Boston to the attack. He meant to press the button that allows him to talk to the passengers on the plane. but he actually was talking to the Boston airport, and he didn't know that. At 8:37 a.m., after hearing the broadcast from Aten on Flight 11, Boston Air Traffic Control alerts the U.S. Air Force North Air Defense Secretary, who then modifies the Air National Guard to follow the plane. At 8:42 a.m., United Flight 93 takes off from New York. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's not New York. Newark, New Jersey. After a delay due to route traffic, it was heading for San Francisco, California. There were 33 passengers, 7 crew members, and 4 hijackers on board. At 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashed into the World Trade Center North Tower. All passengers aboard are instantly killed, and employees of the World Trade Center are trapped above the 91st floor. So if you was above the 91st floor, you was not surviving. They knew they wasn't going to survive. I mean, half of them knew they wouldn't make it home that day. People woke up on that morning not knowing that could be the last day. Because most people woke up, like firefighters woke up that day not knowing that would be the last and ever shift. So that is kind of sad. 9:03 a.m. Flight 175 crashes into the World Trade Center South Tower. All passengers aboard are killed instantly, and so are an unknown number of people in the tower. So we don't know how many people was in the tower that was killed, but yeah. At 9:05 a.m., President George W. Bush, in an elementary school classroom in Florida, is informed about the hit on the second tower. His chief of staff, Andrew Card, whispered the chilling news into the president's ear. Bush later wrote about his response. "I made the decision not to jump up immediately, leave the classroom. I didn't want to rattle the kids. I wanted to project a sense of calm. I had been in enough crisis to know the first thing the leader has to do is to project calm." Miley Center, that's what it says. I think he got. And I can show you the pictures also if you guys want to see. So there are other pictures that you guys can see that I can show you. So actually, the picture I'm looking at right now, you guys will see next. So the next thing you will see, no, I'm not doing that. I'll just show you the picture now. So this was the picture of George W. Bush in the elementary school. So yeah, he was in elementary school. At 9:28, hijackers attacked on Flight 93. At 9:37 a.m., Flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon. All passengers aboard are instantly killed, and so are 125 civilians and military personnel in the building. At 9:45 a.m., U.S. airspace is shut down under Operation Yellow Ribbon. All civilians aircraft are ordered to land at the nearest airport. 9:55 a.m. Air Force One, with President George W. Bush aboard, takes off from Florida, but he was heading straight to, I think, Washington, D.C. No, he was heading to New York. Yeah, I think he was heading to New York. He was trying to hurry up and get to New York. 9:57 a.m. Passengers aboard Flight 93 began to run towards the cockpit. Jerry and the pilot began to roll the plane back and forth in an attempt to decide the revolt. 9:59 a.m. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed. At 10:02 a.m., Flight 93 plows into an empty field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Although it's a limited target, it is known it was likely heading for either the White House or the U.S. Capitol. 10:18 a.m. President Bush ties any non-ground planes to be shot down at the time. All 4 hijackers' planes already crashed, but the president's team was operating under the impression that Flight 93 was still in the air. So hold on, was it? Okay. So as of 10:18 a.m. on 2001, September 11th, those thought Flight 93 was still in the air at that time. 10:28 a.m. The North Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed. 10:53 a.m. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld ordered the U.S. military to move to a higher state of alert, going to DEFCON 3. 11:45 a.m. Air Force One lands at Bagdale Air Force Base near Shreveport, Louisiana. 12:15 a.m. Airspace in the United States is completely free of all commercial and private flights. 1:30 p.m. Air Force One leaves Bagdale. I don't know how to pronounce that. 2:30 a.m. Rebel, the mayor of New York City, visit the fallen Twin Towers of the World Trade Center at what become known as Ground Zero. 3 p.m. Air Force One lands at Earth Air Force Base in Nebraska, and President Bush is immediately taken to his secure bunker that's capable of withstanding a nuclear attack. 4:30 a.m. Air Force One leaves Off-Put and heads back towards Andrews Air Force Base near Washington, D.C. 5:30 a.m. Building 7 of the World Trade Center collapse. 8:30 p.m. President Bush addressed the nation, and then the background of Osama bin Laden did get killed, I think, under the George W. Bush told them to kill off Osama bin Laden. Okay, so that was the backstory of 9/11. Every single year on 9/11, I would do something different. Like this year, I was telling the timeline of the September 11 terrorist attacks. But next year, I will try to do something different. So each year will be different for 9/11. There will be a playlist that I will make, putting everything in there. So that was kind of the breakdown of 9/11. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this. Hopefully you guys love what I did in school for 9/11 in my last video. But due to 9/11, we're doing 2 things. We're doing a moment of silence for the people who did lose their lives. And I'll be showing a video at the end of this thing. What that means is I will be recording a video and putting it at the end of my video. So you guys can see what actually happened that day. So I will put that at the end. But let's take at 12 minutes into this video, we'll be taking a 1 minute moment of silence for the 3,000 people's lives who was lost on 9/11. So give it a couple more seconds. Okay. Alright. Thank you guys so much for taking that moment of silence with me. So, at the end of this video, I'll be putting one of the videos from 2001 into this so you guys can actually see. So, and I will also put another video at the beginning. So, yeah. So you guys can kind of see what actually happened that day, even though I just told you the whole timeline. But the day that defined the beginning of the 21st century for Americans, so that was kind of scary. So thank you guys so much for taking this time with me today to go over the breakdown of 9/11. I don't know, I wasn't alive. I was born in 2009, that happened in 2001, so 8 years later I was born. So when I was born, it was the 8-year anniversary of 9/11, but now it's the 24-year anniversary of 9/11. So that was kind of crazy. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember to watch the beginning of the video, watch that 9/11 video, and then at the end I will show another video. Thank you guys so much for taking the time with me today.
A live look now at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum below the World Trade Center in New York City as we're approaching 24 years since the attacks of 9/11.
Members of the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Lower Connecticut who were there that day will remember it was a clear, bright blue sky that morning, a hint of fall in the air. That all in sharp contrast to the events that would soon unfold and change our world forever.
Andrew Siff visited the 9/11 Memorial and Museum to reflect on that morning with an art installation that will impact anyone who experienced the beauty before the terror of that day.
Nearly 3,000 tiles, each one a different shade of blue.
One of those colors is exactly the way that everybody remembers it.
Beth Hillman is president and CEO of the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. We're inside the main hall, an exhibit that even today, nearly 24 years after New York's darkest day, tears flow at an exhibit called Remember the Sky. The simple concept, artist Spencer Finch's installation conjuring that powerful blue sky as first responders saved thousands. The project also an echo of those who lost their lives, with a modern way to pay tribute this week.
Take a picture of the sky that day and post it to hashtag Remember the Sky. And the reason that makes sense is because that September 11th in 2001 was a spectacular, beautiful day. The color of the sky is something many people remember that day. And when Spencer Finch decided to make this piece, he created this art with a different color of blue for every person who was killed by terrorists that day.
One of the lives lost, Fire Captain Terry Hatton. That's who retired firefighter Tim Brown is thinking about this anniversary. Brown was on command assignment in the lobby of several World Trade Center buildings, but still thinks about what more he could have done.
You went from 7
to 1 to 2.
Did you go up?
If I had heard my best friend, Captain Terry Hatton, yelling Mayday in the radio, I would have gone up. He was my best friend.
Right.
But it was my job to stay in the lobby, and I did not hear him screaming for help.
The Remember the Sky exhibit also contains a famous quote from the poet Virgil.
No day shall erase you from the memory of time.
Each letter on that blue wall forged from the original steel at the World Trade Center.
And of course, those attacks hit right here in our area in Somerset County when the brave heroes of Flight 93 fought back against the terrorists who hijacked their plane, leading it to crash into a field in Shanksville.
Thursday morning, those heroes will be honored 24 years later at the Flight 93 National Memorial. We will have live coverage throughout the day Thursday, starting right here with 6 News at sunrise.